thriller explores a dream world concept first imagined in the 1990s, predating the famous Inception by over a decade. This genre-blending film surprisingly comes from director Amenabar of The Others fame. Now let us explore this complex 1997 Spanish suspense thriller. Anne jolts awake from sleep. He begins his day still heavy with sleep. From washing up to getting dressed, until driving onto the streets, everything seems normal, just like before. Yet he discovers strangely, the city alleys stand eerily deserted. It is clearly 10 o'clock now. What could be happening? Bewildered, he quickly stops his car to check what is going on. Urban structures and buildings remain intact, with no signs of damage. But besides himself, everyone else seems to have vanished. He is terrified by this horrifying sight. As the scene shifts, voice calls out, "Wake up, wake up!" It was the alarm clock ringing. Everything just experienced. It was all just a nightmare. The man is named Nick, though his parents died early. Nick inherited their vast fortune, living without financial worry, with handsome looks and wealth. He lives changing girlfriends frequently. Then he meets a woman named Nora, who fell for him instantly. She would alter his fate forever. As a playboy, Nick soon made Nora his ex-girlfriend. At Nick's birthday party, Nora arrives uninvited. This made him very uncomfortable. Obviously, he disliked being pestered like this. He could only advise Nora to leave here. Meanwhile, Nick's friend Jason brought his new girlfriend, Laura, to celebrate his birthday. Nick was quickly attracted to the beautiful Laura. To get closer to Laura, Nick used escaping his ex's harassment to seek Laura's advice. Soon, the two went into a room alone, laughing and chatting. The charming Nick also won Laura's heart. Jason saw this and instantly saw through Nick's intentions. He didn't expect after stepping away briefly, Nick would target his girlfriend, while Laura went to get drinks. Jason scorned the boundary-crossing Nick. Although nothing extreme happened between them, Jason knew Nick had better looks and wealth than him. If Nick wanted to pursue Laura, he'd lose his girlfriend eventually. Angry, Jason chose to leave the party to show his displeasure. Laura didn't know Jason burned with jealousy, nor did she care. She kept talking with Nick. Her flirting was noticed by Nora. That night, Nick took Laura home. They shared their feelings. Laura completely forgot about her boyfriend Jason. Though they didn't cross any lines that night, Laura made Nick feel truly loving someone for the first time. As Nick prepared to leave for home, he discovered Nora was tailing him. She still wanted closeness, inviting him to her place. But Nick turned her down flat. But Nora thought Nick was afraid of being discovered, so he didn't dare to go. Nora's words deeply upset Nick. Nick decisively got into Nora's car. While driving, Nora confessed her feelings for Nick. Yet at this moment, Nick only thought about Laura. He didn't take Nora's words seriously at all. After the coldness at yesterday's birthday party, and Nick's dismissive attitude, Nora felt deeply provoked again. Being a lovesick fool, she completely lost control. She floored the gas pedal and accelerated straight toward the guardrail. When Nick realized something was wrong, it was already too late. The car crashed through the guardrail and plunged down the slope. Finally, the severely damaged car hit a wall and stopped. But as the scene changed, Nick found himself meeting Laura in the park. He told her about the car crash he had just experienced, and how the crash disfigured him, turning him into a monster. Nick thought it had been a terrible nightmare. Little did he know when he woke up, he discovered that meeting Laura was the sweet dream, because the crash really did happen. Nora died instantly, and his handsome face was ruined by the crash, leaving him horribly disfigured. Although Nick survived, having such a grotesque face shattered his confidence. People stared at him like a freak, giving him strange looks. Without his handsome face, he also lost his charm. Laura refused to face such an ugly Nick. She got back together with Jason. Even his friend Jason started avoiding him. Although Nick was very wealthy, medical technology then couldn't restore his face to how it was. Doctors could only suggest Nick wear a mask to hide his face, a way to live in denial. This wasn't the glimmer of hope Nick desperately needed. That night, Nick ran wildly through the streets clutching the mask. Having lost both friendship and love by his own actions, he wandered aimlessly down the street, like a walking corpse. Not long after, Nick was confined to a mental institution. Accused of murder, psychologist Walter came to investigate the truth behind Nick's story. But Nick denied any wrongdoing. During this time, Nick seemed to experience terrible things, leading him to believe it was all fake. Behind the whole incident seemed to lie a massive conspiracy to uncover the truth. Persuaded by the psychologist, Nick recalled the subsequent events. On the night Nick broke down, mask in hand, Nick collapsed unconscious on the street. Yet his fate was utterly reversed because of this. As dawn arrived the next morning, Nick was awakened by Laura's voice. But instantly, he saw it was Nora, who had died. Nora scared him. When he regained clarity, he found Laura had come to him. Laura apologized for her previous behavior. She also said she still loved Nick deeply. Love had found Nick once again. Nick could hardly believe it. It felt like a dream. Even the hospital brought good news. The surgeons developed a new treatment plan. Just 2 weeks of treatment would restore Nick's original appearance. Nick still doubted it was real. He thought the doctors only wanted to charge more fees. Money wasn't an issue for Nick, but what he didn't expect was the treatment truly restored Nick's appearance. Even Laura could hardly believe it. It felt like returning to their happiest early days. Seeing Nick's restored face and Laura's happiness together, even Nick's friend Jason felt at peace. All this, their friendship was restored. Everything seemed to be improving. Until one night, as Nick went to the bathroom. When he turned on the light, he looked at the mirror. Saw his face had not actually healed. That hideous appearance utterly terrified Nick. But in an instant, he realized it was just a nightmare. Nick immediately checked the bathroom mirror. Thankfully the nightmare wasn't real. But as Nick returned to bed and touched Laura's cheek, he discovered the person beside him wasn't Laura at all, but his deceased ex-girlfriend Nora. Collapsed in terror. What was happening? Had Nora not died? Angry Nick slapped Nora and tied her up. He believed Nora had kidnapped Laura, demanding she return her. But this Nora claimed to actually be Laura. She couldn't understand Nick's strange behavior. Nick ignored Nora's protests and called the police. He reported someone had kidnapped his girlfriend. However, at the station, something more twisted happened. The investigating officer told Nick, Nora actually is Laura. This Nora he thinks kidnapped Laura does not even exist. The officer believes Nora is a figment of Nick's imagination. He suggested Nick see a psychologist. This ridiculous idea left Nick utterly bewildered. The police officer informed Nick that the assaulted woman chose not to press charges. Nick didn't dwell on it, and left immediately. Right outside, Nick ran into Jason. Jason stormed up to Nick, demanding he stay away from Laura. Even Jason believed Laura got beaten by Nick. Bewildered Nick tried to explain that Nora wasn't actually Laura. Jason produced their photo together, accusing Laura of becoming Nora, making Nick deeply uneasy. Only at this moment did Nick realize he might have serious mental issues. Feeling dejected, Nick went to a bar. Vaguely familiar figure approached him. The middle-aged man instantly read Nick's confusion, but Nick, feeling troubled, ignored him. The man directly called Nick by name and told him all this was just his dream. Hearing such nonsense, Nick refused to believe. The man urged Nick to observe others. These people exist here only because Nick imagined them. He also told Nick they would obey his commands. If Nick told anyone to be quiet, they would follow Nick's orders immediately. You are my life. After saying this, unexpectedly, the surroundings became eerily quiet. Everyone stared at Nick in stunned silence at this bizarre scenario, leaving Nick completely baffled. At this moment, Nick could no longer distinguish reality from a dream. When Nick arrived at Laura's home, he discovered all traces of Laura had been replaced with Nora's image. Even the sketch he personally drew for Laura had transformed into Nora, complete with his own signature, making Nick question his sanity. Suspecting Laura had been his illusion. Just as Nick accepted this reality, Laura unexpectedly reappeared before him. Nick held Laura tightly, determined not to lose her again. As they were about to connect intimately, Laura suddenly morphed into Nora before Nick's eyes. The disoriented Nick pressed a pillow over Nora's face, killing her. Nick staggered away, attempting to leave the apartment. Mirror by the stairwell corner revealed something disturbing. Returning inside, Nick saw his disfigured face had reappeared, shattering Nick completely. Thus, he was confined in a mental hospital, unable to distinguish dreams from reality. The masked Nick avoided human contact, fearing what might lie beneath his disguise, dreading a disfigured face. The entire ordeal seemed connected to that middle-aged man. But Nick remained ignorant of his identity. During Nick's confinement, his psychiatrist uncovered a forgotten name clue. The name Ellie surfaced repeatedly in Nick's sleep talk. Unexpectedly, this name triggered Nick's memory. He only had a faint memory. He recalled signing an agreement in some office. As for its contents, he remained completely unaware, eager to uncover the truth. He needed to find that middle-aged man. But the psychiatrist and Nick had lost all leads. Reluctantly, the psychiatrist had to leave first. This place. During Nick's hospital confinement, he unexpectedly heard a familiar voice on TV. The psychiatrist appeared on screen. The screen flashed away by remote control. Nick lunged to grab it, but security personnel restrained him. Fortunately, the psychiatrist rushed back, hearing the commotion. Nick remembered Ellie Want's name, this critical clue. He shared with the psychiatrist. With the psychiatrist's assistance, Nick searched for the acronym Ellie, finding a life extension company. He knew this company linked to that signed agreement. To uncover the truth, the psychiatrist arranged Nick's temporary release, accompanied by officers and the psychiatrist. Nick soon reached that company. The surroundings here felt deeply familiar to Nick. They learned this tech company's life extension meant cryonics, freezing human bodies, serving affluent patients with currently incurable conditions. They charged high fees for freezing, extending clients' lives, until future medical breakthroughs occurred, treating these diseases. Only then would they revive clients for complete treatment. But the psychiatrist found this impossible. Pure scam. If Nick signed that agreement, why then is he not cryogenically preserved, and still perfectly alive? The director explains to them, the cryonic process requires clients to undergo legal death first. Then their bodies can undergo cryopreservation. Regarding human resuscitation technology, it hasn't been achieved yet. But the director firmly believes the future will make it possible. For those with terminal illnesses, this truly offers an alternative hope of survival. Just then, Nick notices the artificial perception concept in the contract terms. The director explains this concept isn't fully developed yet. This project serves clients unwilling to live in the future world, since by then their loved ones will be gone. Artificial perception provides customized virtual reality, allowing clients to keep living in their original era, with loved ones nearby. Every detail feels perfectly real. Clients won't realize they're in a virtual world. The company erases their memory of the agreement, making them forget they experienced death. Clients live in an idealized virtual existence, completely unaware of the company's existence. But anomalies can occur in the virtual world, since clients' subconscious might cause disruptions. That's artificial perception technology's flaw. Hearing this, Nick suddenly understands the truth. He seems to have figured everything out, because he likely already lives in that era, existing in the present through artificial perception simulation. Because in Nick's hazy memory, he recalls signing such an agreement, but the psychologist finds it utterly impossible. If Nick is correct, then the psychologist himself is just Nick's imagination. Such an absurd idea. No one would believe they are someone else's creation. The psychologist insists he is real. But Nick thinks this entire situation is a nightmare. There was no murder case at all. It was all an illusion. As they argued fiercely, the doctor asked Nick to remove his mask and confront his true self. He believed Nick was deeply traumatized by his facial disfigurement, which caused him to develop mental issues, making him imagine things that didn't exist. Nick refused to listen to the doctor anymore. Nick rushed out yelling he needed to wake up. He believed this was just a nightmare. Nick escaped the officer's custody, and the officer aimed his gun, but was stopped by the therapist just in time. When Nick reached the main lobby downstairs, he was immediately blocked by another officer. But Nick completely ignored him, knocking him out cold. He took the officer's firearm. An officer outside tried to stop Nick, but was immediately shot down by him. Witnesses were terrified seeing this, as the situation spiraled out of control. Pursuing officers drew their guns on Nick, but Nick showed no fear. He shouted he needed to wake up. Seeing the situation turning ugly, the therapist rushed forward to intervene. With 2 shots ringing out, the doctor collapsed onto Nick. He thought he'd been shot, but when he regained composure, he found himself completely unharmed, while everyone around had vanished, without a trace, leaving only the doctor and Nick. Then the doctor sensed something was terribly wrong, but he couldn't accept it. This is true. Meanwhile, Nick has discovered the middle-aged man on the rooftop, and he has been waiting for Nick to arrive here. The middle-aged man tells Nick they met 150 years ago. Such words stun the doctor completely. Are they insane, or has the entire world gone mad? The middle-aged man tells the doctor that both of them exist only within Nick's consciousness. Nick's mind could make the doctor vanish too. But still unconvinced, he prepares to seek proof of others' existence. Then the middle-aged man reveals the full truth to Nick. Turns out that night when Nick broke down on the street, he never actually met Laura after waking up. In the following months, Nick barely left his home, until he saw on TV the life extension company founded by that middle-aged man. Feeling life wasn't worth living, Nick chose to sign their agreement. He pinned his hopes for restored appearance on the future. That same night, Nick took his own life with medication. Fast forward 150 years. The life company had successfully developed artificial sentience, and with current medical advancements, restoring Nick's appearance posed no problem. But when Nick signed the agreement originally, he chose to live in the present, not in the future era. So the company erased his later memories. Meaning, everything after that breakdown night existed only in his dreams. These dreams became nightmares, because Nick's subconscious was messing with him. His subconscious believed his appearance wasn't restored, and that Nora still haunted him, leading to the subsequent murder incident. The psychiatrist was just a product of Nick's subconscious mind, created to uncover the truth about what happened. When the psychiatrist returned and discovered that besides the 3 of them, the place had truly turned into an empty city, the doctor still did not believe that a man with a family and children could be imagined by someone else. But Nick, who had gone through all this, told the middle-aged man he no longer wanted to keep living in the dream. The middle-aged man told Nick the only way to wake up was to choose death in the dream. The doctor kept insisting that Nick was a con man. It was a conspiracy. Until Nick conjured up Laura. Nick's appearance also reverted to its original form in the dream. The 2 hugged each other. Nick and Laura said their final goodbye. At this moment, the doctor's entire worldview collapsed, and he clearly realized his whole life was just lived in someone else's subconscious. Nick also finally understood that no matter how beautiful dreams are, they remain unreal. He decisively chose to leap from the high building, preparing to awake from the dream. In the darkness came a calling voice. Relax. And Victor awoke, and opened his eyes. Comparing the sounds before and after awakening, believe at this moment, Nick has woken up, living in the future time of the year 2145.